I think we can all agree we are bombarded by social media, selfies and smartphones. However, I find it fascinating by looking at a period of time before they existed and traditional photographic technology was used instead. I'm Not Everything I Want to Be is a documentary about the photographer Libuse Jarcovjakova, told through a combination of her own individual photography and diary entries she's been making since a teenager. We go and learn her story of being an artist during communist Czechoslovakia, her queer and feminist awakening, and how she developed a sense of cynicism towards Western capitalism. I'm Not Everything I Want to Be is directed by Klára Tosovská, and it made its debut at last year's Berlin International Film Festival. And it's recently been selected as Czechia's official submission for the 98th Academy Awards for Best International Feature Film, and it's going to have a small cinematic release in the UK from the 29th of August. In this video, I'm going to give an overview of the film, as well as my thoughts of it as a documentary film, as well as my thoughts of her art and life. I will then also look at how well it could do in the Oscar race for Czechia. If you're new to my channel, my name is Paul, and I review the best of world cinema, and I follow the race for Best International Feature Film Academy Award, from countries selecting their film to the final winner. So let's roll and review that film. I'm Not Everything I Want to Be is a documentary about the personal life and opinions of the photographer and artist Libuse Jarcovjakova. It's told through an array of individual photos from her collection, as well as text from her diaries. It avoids the typical talking heads or artificial narrative structures giving multiple opinions. This film is very dedicated in taking a one point of view, and that is the point of view of the artist. We see the challenges she faced of becoming an artist under the Czech communist regime. We see the impact of censorship as the Soviets invade, making it even more hard. We see her feminist and queer awakening through her marriages and relationships and her inability to be able to get an abortion. We see her exposure to Western culture through visits to Germany and Japan, and her gradual cynicism as she realises the impact of capitalism and the need to make profits from art. However, we also see the positive impact of the Berlin Wall falling down, and this brings a new energy to her. She overcomes these challenges after that magnificent period of time, both personal and on an artistic level. She's an artist that has been shackled by communism, and while she maintains a cynicism towards capitalism, the freedom of expression really exists for her.
Mám pocit, že toho v životě můžu dokázat hodně, ale mám strach, jestli to neprofláknu. Učím se fotit. Chci být fotografka. Uprostřed léta přijeli ruské tanky. Mám strašný strach z toho, co přijde.
I think it's easy to see that she is known as the Nan Goldin of Soviet Prague. And it's quite easy to see if you've seen the film, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, which received an Oscar nomination a couple of years ago. The style of photography is very similar. All her pictures of people, places and things in her life, told in a fragmented, raw and unfocused way that brings its own gritty realism to it, much like Nan Goldin. Really captures the feeling and place of the time, as well as exploring queerness and queer communities of the period she's living. However, it's quite easy to get overly obsessed with the comparison with Nan Goldin because they are both female, they are both queer, they both do similar photography. However, they are from different places, and it's their uniqueness between Soviet Prague and America that makes them unique and individual. And the comparison between the two documentaries is very different, and both have their plus points. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed is very in your face, dramatic, highlighting the horrific situations Nan Goldin's been through and the political drive she has, which is a fascinating narrative-driven storytelling, while I'm Not Everything I Want to Be is very subdued and is more like a picture show of all her art, with her occasional reflections, anecdotes and musings, which act more as a train of thought rather than a strict and clear narrative. However, I really appreciated the portrayal of Soviet Prague and found that element fascinating, as well as the queer element, seeing these different queer communities dancing, celebrating in a place where it's illegal. And of course, it's easy to make the claim this is one person point of view, so you have that unreliability of a narrator. But I think that misses the point of the documentary. I'm Not Everything I Want to Be is about how she perceived certain events. Now, she reflects on how her art has been developed, how her career has been developed, how she has grown in her own identity. These are really subjective things, and they're trying to portray how she portrays them rather than work out what actually happened. So we don't need a reliable narrator, we're more getting an understanding of her and her art. And another thing I really appreciated, from the title alone, I'm Not Everything I Want to Be, she is the queen of the inferiority complex. And it's great to see in the film she's gradually overcomes that because of her conditional changes in society. And I don't think she necessarily understands that she has made great leaps and bounds to being a truly great artist. Overall, I thought this was a fascinating documentary of an artist I've never even heard of, as someone who's not big on art. I mean, it's remarkable she was only really discovered internationally in 2019 following an exhibition in France. It's not necessarily a film I'll revisit over and over again, it's not one of those sort of films, but it gives me insight into a Czech artist I just have not heard of before. I would therefore give I'm Not Everything I Want to Be 3.5 stars. So let's have a look at how well it will do in the Oscar race. Czechia, or Czechoslovakia, have had a huge heritage of great films, in particular the Czech wave of the 1960s. During that period, they won 2 Best Foreign Language Oscars, which include Closely Observed Trains and The Shop on Main Street, and they had 2 additional nominations. Since the Velvet Revolution and the independence of Czechia, the country has only won 1 Oscar, for Goya in 1996. They have also had 2 additional nominations and 3 films shortlisted, including last year's submission, Waves. It has not been since 2003 since Czechia has been nominated for the Best International Feature Film Oscar, and they currently rank as the 26th most successful country of all time as an independent country. And in the last 10 years, they are the 19th most successful country, meaning they're not the big hitters, but they're there and thereabouts, and occasionally one of their submissions creeps through for a shortlisting. So do I think I'm Not Everything I Want to Be will be shortlisted, nominated, or win the Oscar for Best International Feature Film? I'm going to say no. I think it's a little gem and it's a fascinating documentary, but its style would be quite alienating for some people, and I don't think it's got the presence for it to be pushed into the Oscar conversation. And I think its only real chance will be is if it's shortlisted for Best Documentary, and then maybe it will get a bit of attention. However, I just feel this is very unlikely. Have you seen I'm Not Everything I Want to Be? If you have, please leave your thoughts of what you thought of the documentary in the comments below. And if you want to see how well it does in the Oscar race, please do like this video and subscribe to Global Film Pool. Thank you very much for watching.